In recent years, Caribbean nations have seen unprecedented heat waves affecting not only human health but also oceanic life, crucial for the island's tourism and fishing sectors. Scientists are observing significant die-offs in coral reefs due to bleaching events driven by rising sea temperatures and pollution, with repercussions for the region's biodiversity and natural coastal defenses. Fletcher stressed the risks that we're facing as a nation at the recently held 26th REDLAC conference held in Saint Lucia this past week.
But really, we are faced with a twin crisis: climate change and biodiversity loss. And this is coming from the most recent report of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the scientific body that really reviews all of the scientific evidence that forms the basis of negotiations in the climate change space. And it is that human influence has warmed the climate at a rate that is unprecedented in at least the last 2,000 years. Now, I don't know whether you could wrap your mind around a 2,000-year time span, but that is really what we're dealing with the level of global warming that we're experiencing right now. Land and sea surface temperatures are hotter than ever before, and I don't think you need scientific data to prove that to you. Every time you walk the streets, every time you get out of these air-conditioned rooms, it is very obvious that we are experiencing unprecedented heat, even during periods when it ought to be cool. And the same thing with our oceans. Our oceans are also hotter than they've ever been.
During his presentation, Fletcher explained how the phenomenon of rising temperatures poses a significant threat to the region.
What this means is that we will overshoot 1.5 degrees Celsius very soon. And there are very significant impacts of that. Impacts on water security, impacts on the natural environment, impacts on infrastructure, and impacts on food security.
Change can be difficult, but it is already happening, transforming pollution and problems into profits and opportunities.
Sargassum has been converted into a fertilizer by a Saint Lucian gentleman, and Barbados has been used to fuel a vehicle, a secret vehicle. There are opportunities there, but for that to happen, we have to protect our intellectual property. Protection of intellectual property has to be a key in everything that we do. So our Attorney General's department has to be in lockstep with us in whatever we do in biodiversity conservation. Every year when I was permanent secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, we'd get a request from some research ship to do research in our waters. We have no idea what these people are picking up, what they're mining from our oceans and what they're turning that into. We have to keep track of these things. Okay? If we want to turn these crises into opportunities, link conservation to human well-being. Everybody wants to feel better. Everybody wants to be better, to live a better life. How do we link conservation to that? Conservation efforts must be equitable and inclusive. Very important. And we have this whole question of benefit sharing. We have to ensure that there's equal access to opportunities and benefits for marginalized groups, women, and youth. Local and traditional knowledge must be valued. We have to understand that the knowledge that has been passed down from generations, in many instances, is more important and more credible than the scientific knowledge.
Fletcher's warning came on the occasion of the 26th REDLAC conference held in Saint Lucia, which brought together regional and international conversationists and funding agencies, and just weeks before the biggest environmental conference in the world, the Conference of Parties of the United Nations Framework on Climate Change, to be held in Colombia later this month. For Choice News Now, this is Kenise Baptist.